love the Lord. He carried a Bible and praised the Lord. And they just don't make them like that no more. You say take what you got, do the best you can. The best thing you'll own is a piece of land. And y'all, he knew his like the back of his hand. He was something else, my old man. He was something else, my old man. He'd see through a light like an old street door. He taught me how to hunt, how to love the Lord. He carried a Bible and praised the Lord. We just don't make them like that no more. Just don't make them like that no more. I saw him read that Bible every chance he could, and he left it to me like he said he would. And if you ask me why that sounds so good, 'cause it taught me more than I thought it would. That book taught me more than I thought it would. It see through a light like an old screen door. He taught me how to hunt, how to love the Lord. He carried a Bible and praised the Lord. They just don't make them like that much more. Those that stand up for the Lord.
Brother Willie to get up here. He said that after that meeting last week, he'd been itching to come tell y'all some stories, so hopefully we'll keep it short. I've got your wife looking. Need a mic?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, first of all, I want to thank y'all for last weekend. I got to go to Texas Friday to sit in on I'm on a team. I've been asked by the BLCC to be on the team of church development. And I sat there as a small church pastor, and I was thinking, well, I ain't really a pastor yet, but we got 2 more days and we'll know. But I got to sit there with some of the best in the business. And one thing I shared with them as they were talking about 1,500 in their congregation on Sunday morning, I said, you know, I'm not worried about numbers. I'm not worried about numbers and how many seats are filled. What I want to see is disciples going out the door in numbers in my church. Because the numbers are up to the Lord. What we got to do is make disciples. And so as I sat there through those meetings, it kept coming to me as disciples and disciples. I want y'all to know that this was God's plan a long time ago. I thank y'all for the vote, but my prayer had been for the last 4 months, wherever you want me to go is where I'm going. If it's Bryant Lane, I'll be there. But wherever else I'm supposed to go, you send me and I'll go. So I want you to know I love y'all, and I'm here to be the best disciple I can possibly be. But my main goal is to make disciples with the Lord leading me out of each and every person sitting in this congregation. Thank y'all.
This world is not my home. I'm just a passing through. Treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. And the angel beckon me from heaven's open door. I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. Heaven's not my home. Then Lord, what can I do? If the angel beckons me, heaven open door, I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just up in glory land, we'll live eternally. Saints on every hand, they're all shouting victory. Little songs of sweetest praise, written back from heaven's shore. And I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. Heaven's not my home. Then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me. Heaven's open door. I can't feel at home in this world anymore. I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Yeah, man. Woo. Okay, I'm gonna see how many hippies we got over here. Just picking. I like the song too, but it just puts me in an era when that was a popular thing to be. And if I see y'all lip singing, ain't looking at the bullet, I know you're as old, almost as old as me. Yes, sing. Go ahead there, big boy.
Mama, take this badge from me. I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. It's like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah.
Two free birds.
We didn't bring the right guitars for that one.
I'm not the devil you think that I am. There ain't no excuse, I'm just a man. I slipped and I fell, it got out of hand. I'm not the devil you think that I am. Wasn't no hills in my head, got caught up believing in lies that were sin. In a moment of weakness, I stumbled and I made my bed. I'm not the devil you think that I am. Ain't no excuse, I'm just a man. I slipped and I fell, it got out of hand. I'm not the devil you think that I am. There's 10,000 reasons for you not to stay. No one would blame you if you want it that way. I'll take some time, I'll show you I'm worth the wait. I'm not the devil you think that I am. Ain't no excuse, I'm just a man. I slipped and I fell, it got out of hand. I'm not the devil you think that I am. I'll spend forever, do all that I can. Prove I'm not the devil you think that I am. I'm not the devil.
We're gonna do one more, and we're gonna turn it over. Back years ago, my father was a minister. He used to sing a song called The Sinner's Prayer. I don't know if you've heard that song before, but when I heard this Chris Stapleton sing this song, I also thought of that song. So I kind of put it together, it goes something like this right here. Last night I dreamed I woke up at the pearly gates. St. Peter looked in the book of life, said, I don't see your name, and I got nobody to blame but me. I got nobody to blame but me. Standing at the throne of God, He named all my sins. Looking all around me, I can't even find a friend, and I got nobody to blame but me. I got nobody to blame but me. I know just where I went wrong. It took got nobody to blame but me. Led me to the grace of hell. Now then I woke up, I fell down on my knees and cried out to the Lord above. I got nobody to blame but me. Lord, I got nobody to blame but me. All my sins I gave him, he covered with his blood. I turned right then and walked away, forgiven by his love. I got nobody to blame but him. No, I got nobody to praise but him. I know just where I went wrong. It took me down this crazy road I'm on. Turned my life into this sad, sad song. Nobody to praise but him. Oh, I got nobody to praise but him. No, I got nobody to praise but him. I got nobody to praise but him. What is my favorite time of the service is when we put the guitars down and turn the headsets off and turn on the one headset that matters. You need a mic?
I don't think so. You all
Okay.
hear it, can't you? I'll spit on you again. Well, good deal. Good to be back. Man, the lesson about your life is don't never leave town, right? I'm telling you. That's good. Smart move. I appreciate that. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Well, before I forget, by the way, I'm Lew. I know I've been here. Whenever you reach the bottom of the rung, think of me. That's where I am. We're glad to be back again. We come in maybe once a year. We're down at French Camp. Anybody know where French Camp is? 2 hours south on the Trace. And tonight we have a presentation there with horses, which we've done here, things like that before. And tonight is about the 5 tools you must learn to skillfully use. Your whole process of life, whether you're dealing with family, whether you're dealing with business, whether you're dealing with coaching, depends on how well you use those tools. So we'll have about 4 horses tonight, and it'll be about an hour. It's 5 o'clock at French Camp, and they serve hot dogs to the kids at 5. It's a boarding school, I think you know that. And then we'll probably be on there around 6 after. There's no charge, so I think you've probably been down to the rodeo they've had down there, or do have in April sometime. So, well, you know, I'm probably going to run out of town this morning because I'm going to teach you how to hate. Probably not the first time you're going to hear it, or maybe the first and the last time you're going to learn to hear that in church. It's kind of like horses, you know. I love them and I hate them. And they love me and they hate me. The problem is with horses and me is that they love all the wrong things. They love to be fed, they love to be groomed, they love to be left alone, they love to do nothing. And they hate getting caught, having to be saddled, going to work. They hate being spurred. They hate having to grow up. And it's my job somehow to take these colts that love to do nothing and get a good feed check for it and get them to learn to love to work for a living. That's the process, isn't it? And that's really what we have to do, because you see, if you don't learn how to hate, friends, you're never going to learn how to love. Those two are never far apart. In fact, you've all said it in your heart if you haven't said it out loud about your parents. You think you love your parents and they say no to something you want. You say, I hate my parents. Shh, don't ever admit that to nobody. And you say it about your spouse. I hate that man. Now, don't say it out loud. Don't say it in church, but you've said it in your heart. Why? Because they flip on you real fast. And it's amazing how fast we can love and hate the very same people, isn't it? And we love what we do. I love the ministry, folks. It's just people I can't stand. It's a rough life. But you see, God says there's things that He hates too. By the way, I want to talk to you about 7 things to hate and why you must learn to hate them. And I want to talk to you about one word. One word. One thing. And if you get a hold of it, it will change your life forever. Fair enough? God says there's 6 things that I hate. Yea, 7 that are an abomination. And they're the same 7 things I hate in a horse. He says, I hate haughty eyes. You ever notice that when a horse is upset, they raise their head? Sometimes they'll rear, because that's the ultimate form of raising their head. Haughty eyes, when they raise their head, we're trying to avoid. A horse always raises his head when he is afraid or upset because he has a better field of vision. He sees farther. He feels more in control. And haughty eyes are often by insecure people who lift their eyes to make people think that there's no needs in my life whatsoever. A lying tongue. We call that bit evasion in a horse when he opens his mouth. I don't know if you've ever been on one of those horses that you've been saying whoa to, whoa, 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 and his mouth is gaping and he's heading back to the barn faster than he came away from it. And you're just thinking, I hope I closed the bottom door, not the top one. I'm going to have me a terrible headache. Bit evasion. Horse gapes at the mouth. And then there's the horse that sheds innocent blood with his hands. I hate haughty eyes, a lying tongue, those who shed innocent blood. A horse strikes or kicks, and I especially hate it when they shed my innocent blood. They will get you. A heart that devises wicked plans. There are a lot of horses. Now, horses are selfish, and they're just like us. But then there are horses that are especially selfish, and they devise a plan to corner you, cower you. I've been on horses that would run backward and look for a pickup truck in the arena and flip over backwards trying to kill you on a pickup truck. That's not an average horse. That's a horse that's going out to kill you. He's got a wicked plan in his heart. He's been there before. I hate feet that run rapidly to evil. You ever notice how the horse runs quickly to the herd when he doesn't like something you're doing? If you're in an arena and there's horses at one end and you're down at the other end, that horse will always work himself back to the other herd. Because he wants approval from the gang, not approval from his master. I hate horses, a false witness who speaks lies. Let me tell you what, there are many a horse who have a saddle and bridle and ride that aren't broke. If you want to know a broke horse, you just put a spur to him. And I'll tell you what, you're either going to be doing a soil test or you're getting a good job out of your horse. But the spur will tell you the difference. When he's got a selfish plan still in there, and you push him a little more, things come out of his mouth and out of his life that probably ain't going to pass colors on Sunday morning. And I hate, God says, I hate those who spread strife among the brethren. Pretty easy to do it. My mouth does it. My heart does it. Because I'm more interested in me than I am in him. We got one Father, we got one blood, friends. We're brothers, bought, blood bought. We have an oath, a covenant to honor him. And I tell you what, it's easier to love yourself and to love all those things that come with selfishness than it is to really love Christ and begin to get where you need to be. See, the problem with this, and God said, I'm going to leave 7 nations. Now, this is the Old Testament, okay? And I'm going to choose a people, and I'm going to walk with them, and then I'm going to take them into a land called milk and honey, a promised land. I'm going to take them into the show pen. And before I get into the show pen, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to leave 7 nations in that pen that are mightier than you. You would think that if God was so good and he was so powerful, that he would have cleared the land and he would have set up some homesteads for them and said, here you go, boys, lunch is on me. But he knows that the only way you and I build muscle, the only way we build strength is by opposition, by difficulty, by hardship, by trial, by sweat, all the stuff we don't like. We're all the same. We love the results of the sweat. Hebrews says, but all discipline for the moment is sorrowful. Nobody likes it. We're no different than that. Yet to those who are trained by it, That's that practice pen. That's that catch pen. That's that round pen. That's that practice. That's that stinking homework. But those are trained by it. Afterwards, in the show pen, it yields that peaceful fruit of righteousness, things that sense. Boy, I'm sure glad God kept me from that. I'm sure glad I listened to Him. I'm sure glad that I learned to get out of bed early, get on my knees. I'm sure glad that I stayed in God's Word because He used that in my life. I'm sure glad that I apologized. I'm sure glad that I took responsibility. I'm sure glad I called that person. Phew. There's not much room sometimes, and you watch. Now, He said, now, I'm going to leave 7 nations in that land, so when you go in there, even though I've already given it to you. Don't you understand, folks, that God called every one of you to a life and life abundant? He's already given it to you. If you're blood bought, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. When I buy a coat, I got a new coat with me, his name's Smarty, and I got another coat at home, and they're just starting. When I own those coats, they are world champions. And they're worth between $250,000 and $500,000 a piece. But they ain't nothing without them. The moment I own them, they're great horses. Now, do you think they like the journey? Oh no. They curse me and complain to me and quit on me and try to buck me off. And they're the worst things I could ever throw my leg over. I expect all that. That's why I got them, because they're great horses. God made a mighty bad deal when He bought you all. But that was His doing. That was His bid, the auction. He bought you. Rebel, selfish, full of yourself, addicted to all the wrong things, hating all the good things and loving all the bad things. He bought you that way. He put His brand on it. Isn't that cool? But in the process, you and I have to learn how to hate the things that destroy us. The fear of the Lord is to hate. Hate. Evil. Pride. Arrogance. And the froward mouth. The horrible mouth. The thing that comes out of my mouth. Don't hate you. Don't hate you. Self-hatred is not what God's about. My boys were adopted. I got one boy, he was 9, lived in 45 homes of his life. He pooped his pants on a regular basis, slashed his wrist on a regular basis, bit himself on a regular basis. He hated himself. That's not what I'm talking about, friends. That's from hell. There's a difference between hating the wrong things and hating yourself, isn't it? God wants you to love yourself. I find that's kind of all hard to sort out. So what does it mean? How do we learn to love ourselves? Well, you learn to choose to hate the right thing. For example, if somebody spooks you like that, do you go toward the spook or from? Sorry. The restroom's back there. If somebody spooks you, do you run toward the spook or from the spook? We always run from it, don't we? When somebody brings light into a dark life, do you run toward the light or from it? When you tell one lie, what do you do to cover a lie you've told? Tell another, right? Just tell another lie and you hide farther in the darkness. And when somebody blames you for not doing your job, what do you do? You all know the answer. Get angry. Nobody likes to be told they didn't measure up, do you? You get angry. And when you're told that you're rebellious and you don't work hard enough, and it's an unfair authority you're working under and they're not treating you right, how do you feel then? What do you do then? What are you, deaf back there? You rebel! Don't pretend you ain't rebels. You all are. We all come from the same DNA. We all from the same stock, friends. When somebody pushes you a little hard that isn't the kindest authority out there, every rebellious feeling comes up in your heart and you just want to knock him lights out. Some of you want to give him a piece of your mind, but some of you don't have much to share. You better be careful. And then when somebody's got you working hard and you're already sweating and you've been working by yourself and they come and tell you you got to work harder, you got to do more, what's your first reaction? I'm out of here. I quit, man. I'm out of here. This isn't fair. You see how that stuff is so common among all of us? You may think somebody that doesn't have it, somebody like me doesn't have it, or that you're alone. You're not special, friends. The devil treats you all the same way. He'll treat you like scum, and as long as you'll kick, he'll corner you in a corner, and you'll keep on kicking. So the temptation to quit is so real in all of us, especially when you work hard to do the right thing, and then you get unappreciated and then told you need to do more. And then when they measure your stuff and they point out things that aren't right and they ask more of you and they tell you things you have to grow up on, what comes out of your mouth? Well, I'm only human. Well, I can't do everything. I don't walk on water, you know. Kind of. Oh, and every home we say that, don't we? I get blamed for everything around here. Well, of course you do. You're supposed to. Didn't get that in marriage contract. Oh, sorry, it came later. It's an addendum. You make excuses. You have lists of excuses in your heart and mind. Stinking woman. That stubborn, bull-headed man can't remember why I married him. Boy, it comes up in something fierce. Oh, and everything. All our homes. We see the worst in each other and we make excuses why we don't want to do something. Why that's an unfair treatment. And then you get people that are always beggars and takers and they're always whiners and they're always taking and somebody tells you you should reach out to them, you should have them go in. I'm not helping that beggar anymore. My pastor friend out in California, he and his wife were arguing about raising their kids. And the pastor said, well, I'm not raising my kids like so-and-so, he's a jerk. Lump came from under the floor. That so-and-so was downstairs below and stolen a brand new dryer he donated to them. He heard him telling them. Let's do it. That's just plain too. Hate. Wow, we learn to hate. The devil loves you to hate all the wrong stuff yourself, your spouse, the word, preachers, authority. He hates you to hate all the wrong stuff. He hates you to love all the wrong stuff. Isn't that terrible? See, the devil can't create anything. He has no power to create at all. God is the only creator. He was made. The devil was made. So all he can do is take that which God created and make it look dirty or get it out of context. Sex was God's idea. Every bit of it was God's idea. Every food taste was God's idea. You couldn't taste the difference between salt and sweet if it weren't for God's idea. Every beautiful sunset was God's idea. Everything beautiful, everything you absolutely enjoy, everything that causes your soul to rise up and rejoice and feel good was all God's idea. Somehow we attribute every pleasure to the devil. The devil can't do any of it. He just makes everything that God does get dirty. So now we feel guilty for the good stuff and we think God's boring. See how he switches it all around? It's like that young colt that doesn't want to go to work because work's going to be meaningful and the relationship with the trainer is going to be meaningful. So God said, by the way, I want to change this around in your life, so I'm going to leave 7 nations that are mightier than you, so you learn some lessons. In fact, you learn one lesson. That's all you got to learn. That's why I know that God is behind the Cowboy Church, because he kept it real simple. I got to get you one lesson. God is able to make all grace abound to you, so you and I always have all sufficiency may abound to every good work. Boy, that's a mouthful. It's such a mouthful. In other words, it means like Romans says, you don't have an excuse. Because I'll give you whatever you need. If it ain't enough, I'll give you more. And if that ain't enough, I'll throw more in. So you have no excuse. But I love excuses. I live on excuses. There's always the hole in the road. It's the bad road, bad horse, bad timing, poor cattle, something. It's the reason I didn't win that trophy, and it ain't me. The gate, the guy at the gate. Whatever. whatever, it's poor, it's sorry. I'm going to leave these nations there. Now, what nations did he leave? He left Jericho, the first nation. And he told those people, and I'm not going to give you the whole story here, but if you remember the little story, I'm going to make you people, chosen people, and you're going to go in there without weapons, and you're going to march around this city silently for 7 days in a row, one time, so not to say a thing. And of course, as they march around, I'm sure by day 4, day 5, they start winging out the guard and say, "What are you going to do? Is this first to death? Hello!" But on the seventh day, they walk around that and shout, and the whole wall fell. Peter says this, "And even if you should suffer for doing right, do not fear their intimidation, and do not let your heart be troubled. You, the sanctified Christ as Lord in your life, always be ready to give an account of hope as you need. General servants. Why does a person raise his head? Ringling Brothers just sold out. But if you know Ringling Brothers, for all the years you've ever known Ringling Brothers, you always knew they had a thing called Big Top, the big tent. That was part of the whole thing, and a tent always had 2 major pillars in the tent, didn't they? And the tent went from down here to the tent pegs, up across the big pillar, and it swooped over this big pillar, and then down to the tent pegs, just like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. So if you ever wanted to topple a tent like that, how would you do that? You would just cut the tent pegs. If you went around, as some of you sneaky boys did on other people camping with you, and pulled a few tent pegs, you knew the tent would fall on the campers inside the tent. Now, none of you have ever had that evil thought before, but if you did, it's a whole lot of fun. I mean, I shouldn't be telling you that. I just shouldn't be telling you. You see, it's not this that holds it up. Now, a horse has a front set of legs, and he has a rear set of legs. And over that set of legs is a tent peg or curtain called the ligamus, the ligament nuchae, and it runs up across the neck, across the back, and down the tail line. Now, the question is, when the horse's head is up, is the ligament or the tent cord slack or taut? When the horse's head goes up, what happens to the cord that runs down the back of the neck? It's slack, doesn't it? You know what happens when you have a slack tent cord? When you have a slack cable, all the weight on the horse's back becomes heavy and burdensome. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly, and you shall find rest for your souls, for I am meek and lowly of spirit. So when the horse lowers his head and he loses his ability to be in control, when he loses his field of vision, but he trusts the one who's riding him, and he drops his head, he can no longer see into tomorrow, he can no longer control the future, and he walks by faith rather than by sight. What happens to the tent cord? Makes it taut, and it thrusts the burden upward, and the weight is carried by suspension, not by muscle, and the burden becomes light because he is the head. Isn't that a great thing that Jesus taught us? You see, the horse, when he's afraid, he raises his head, haughty eyes. When he humbles himself, he lowers his head and trusts you to be head. Isn't that a vexation for all of us to lower our head and not see the future? You said, I so appreciate what you said, because you know, it's one thing to be called to Brian Lane. It's another thing to say, God, this isn't about Brian Lane, this is about another call in my life. And I imagine you feel a little scared at that moment, because that's another cross moment in my life. I'm losing control of the answer. Because whatever God fills in that check with, I've already signed it. I don't like that. None of us. That's where God begins to work. And the horse yields his right to see all and know all as he ventures in to face Jericho and just listens to God and follows by faith. Then they came to another battle. He left a little battle called Ai. And Ai, they got defeated in. 36 guys got killed, and Joshua wants to quit, and they go through a whole pouting party. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. The reason you got defeated is because there's sin in the camp. There's darkness hidden in somebody's tent. Well, you can't fight these battles in heaven, friends, if you've got sin hidden in your heart. I can break every addiction in every person's life, every time, in every home, in a minute. I'll guarantee you. You know why? Because addictions begin with secret, dark choices, and they move more and more into darkness. Anytime somebody has an addictive process, and I say, would you like to get over that? They said, yes. I said, call me whenever you're tempted. What about not? I don't care. What? You would never do this in front of your parents. You would never do this in front of your past. You would never do this. Well, of course not. Then just bring them into it. Light always cures all darkness. The truth is, we don't really want the light. We're just like people said, and this is the judgment. Light is in the world, but men hated the light because their deeds were evil and their motives were selfish. They didn't come to the light. Light cures all things, friends. It's a problem. See, when I'm afraid, I have to humble myself, turn and put on the truth. Sometimes putting on the truth is like putting on a wet baby. Not always comfortable. Sometimes when I'm living in the darkness and I don't want anybody to find out, see, I have to humble myself to get in the light. When somebody points out some irresponsibility in my life, because Joshua, he faced another battle called the Gibeonites. And they came from a long ways away. They were disheveled and their wineskins were all parched and they were out of water. Their donkeys looked overweight. And they immediately said, oh, we can do deals with people from a long way. We can't do deals with anybody close. And they never checked in with God. And they made a poor decision. And they made a treaty with the Gibeonites. You see, when I'm irresponsible, when somebody points out my responsibility, I defend my decisions immediately, and I get angry. You see, I need to, when I am blamed for something that's not right, I need to humble myself and say, tell me more. I need to hear this. You know, those words never come to my mind. You know, I'm too busy making excuses and getting angry when you fall. I do leadership training. Leadership training is still real relevant. It has nothing to do with leadership. It has to do with growing up. I avoid it at all costs, frankly. But somebody has to grow up. My wife and I decided that the other day, and I said, I'm fine, go ahead. You can get it. You're not going to admit that in front of your wife. I got you. Okay. Anyhow, so when we are treated by unfair authority, see, God gave Joshua a lot of difficulty, gave him an assignment, and Joshua's like, well, what do you expect me to do here, God? And God says, just take the initiative, do something. I'm willing to bless your initiative. So Joshua decides a plan, divides northern kingdom, southern kingdom, begins to conquer, and God blesses his work. And he gives you authority here, and he gets you under authority for creative ideas and solutions. And you don't know that it's always the mind of God or that it's always going to work out. But take the initiative in the power of submitting one to another and do something. And then the Gibeonites get in trouble. 5 kings come around them, and they're going to kill these Gibeonites because they made a treaty with their friends. Now, if I were Joshua, I said, shoot, and I'm so glad God get me out of a bad deal. I swore too soon to protect them and made an alliance with them, and I shouldn't have done that. And guess what? I'm way over here, and there's no way possible I can get over there. I've got the room that they're in trouble. No. You see, Joshua was a man of his word. He swears to his own word. He does not change. His no always means no, and his yes always means yes. That's long gone in our culture, friends. A handshake is long gone. A yes and a no are long gone in our culture, friends. Contracts and liabilities and litigations and lawyers, church litigations. You know what Joshua did? He said, my yes is my yes. He marched all night long to fulfill a lot of promises he didn't even like that he make sure that his mouth and his feet were the same. When you're stopping a horse, friends, which would you rather stop, their mouth or their feet? Do you know what the word integrity means? How close your mouth and your feet are connected. Well, every billboard out there, every company says we're a company of integrity. They're filthy liars. When a company promises and delivers, you always stick to that. When we promise and we deliver, boy, that's huge for any of us. You see, when I move a horse, I don't expect him to move his face. I want his feet to move. And Christians are stuck. They give all the great theology, great answers, but their feet don't. Our feet are stuck. And then he goes on, he gives them another tour over here. They divide all the land out over here. And then Manasseh comes along and says, we could use a little more land here. We're big people here. There's a lot of cattle, a lot of livestock. We could use a little more land. We want to be as big as Texas always thinks they are. And, excuse me, whoops, slipped that one in there, huh? Anyhow, I live too close to Texas. They're the only state that worships themselves, by the way. Anyhow, I love Texas. Got to beat on a little bit. And you know what they say? Joshua says, well, since you're such... Well, by the way, what happened to the land I gave you? Oh, well, they have some chariots up in there, and then there's some bad guys up there in the hills, and we couldn't get that. If you're such a great and mighty people, why didn't you claim the land? Why didn't you take care of what you did? Listen, friends, somebody give you a title, but nobody give you care of it. Somebody give you a job and a paycheck, but nobody give you confidence. Somebody can give you an opportunity, but nobody can give you eternal fruit. It's every man and woman's job themselves. Nobody can own your destiny but you. You can blame it on whoever you want to blame it on, friends. But one day you look him eye to eyeball, and all those feeble, cheap excuses that want to utter out of your mouth that you got away with on earth, you won't have the guts to say it. Hermano, hermano, why you didn't deliver the full inheritance that he deserved. That's payday I fear. I value. I honor. Why? I'm going to have my payday. So is each one of you. How can I answer with my life before that great King of Kings? And I'm going to get a private audience with him. Him alone, just he and I. Private audience. Doesn't matter how you measure up this Bryant Lane. I mean, it's important. Doesn't matter how you look in the community. Doesn't matter what your bankroll is, friends. What matters is how you're going to measure up to that last roundup when he looks at you and says, my dear child, what do you have to say for yourself today? And you want to say, I'm not worthy to be here, but here's what I brought you. The most naked man in the world will be a person who's nothing to lay at his feet as a Christian. You see, there's only one thing in all of life that stands between you and that showdown, between you and that winner's circle. Only one thing in the world, friends. God is opposed to the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. Well, we all agree with that. We like humble people, but what does it mean to humble ourselves? Let me go through 7 applications of humility. When I am afraid, I'm going to admit that I'm afraid, and I'm going to humble myself and put on truth. That's not a feeling, friends. That's not a poor me. That's I'm not a lesser than other people. I need to put on truth. Let me tell you what, friends. Whenever I touch those reins, excuse me, I better stay with the edge. Whenever I touch those reins on my horse, the first thing he better do is drop that head. When I just touch those reins, my hands are never allowed to move more than 4 inches square on a broke horse. When I touch those reins, the first thing he does is says, I honor you. I'm here for your will, not mine. I don't ride wimpy, rebellious, stinking, half-hearted horses. I ride great, powerful, dynamic horses, and they're humble. You get in your mind what humility is, and it has nothing to do with poor me. He's a great horse, he's a beautiful horse, and he's my horse, and he's absolutely, wholeheartedly dedicated. He's alive, fully harnessed, and fully yielded. He's broke. And the first thing when I pick up those reins, that horse drops his head. When I walk in the stall, those colts come in, they drop their heads. Because they've been trained, when they're in my presence, they drop their heads. Why? So that I can harness them, and they prepare it. And so it's a process. So when I'm afraid, I want to raise my head and run, and I need to humble myself and get under the authority of God's word. I need to put it on. Number two, when light is brought to me, and I want to run, and I want to open my mouth. I got a young colt, you'll see him if you see him tonight. He'll open his mouth on occasion, he'll jaw and play with it. He's a baby. He's just a 2-year-old. I expect that. But no adult horse of mine ever opens their mouth with a bit. Why? They're broke in the face. The Church of Jesus Christ is not even broken in the face. Their mouths are coarse, they're selfish, we gossip, we slander. We ain't even broken in the face, friends. We don't know what the headship of Christ. My words are not accountable to that person I'd like to say whatever to. I'm accountable to God for every word that comes out of my mouth. And then when I ask my horse about hands that shed innocent blood, whenever I put any kind of pressure on my horses always move their feet. It takes a lot of humility to become a doer and not a talker, friends. This is Cowboy Church. I believe revival to the world is meant to come through Cowboy Church, friends. Because nobody would expect anything intelligent to come from you. The Savior came out of a stable. And the King is coming back from a barn. I believe revival is going to come here because you're pragmatic doers. But don't you slip like everything else and quit doing and moving your feet. Because I'll tell you what, when it comes to a good broke horse, that horse always moves his feet. He never reacts at the mouth. The reason the horse reacts at his mouth is because he doesn't move his feet. And when a horse's feet are stuck, he's a dangerous horse. When you're a talker and not a doer, you're like the slothful man who gives 7 answers wiser than all the other people, but he never moves his feet. And when you put too much pressure on a colt like that, he's going to explode and you're going to be in the ditch. You're riding a tough horse. You better make him move his feet before you get on him. Never assign him to leadership until he learns to move his feet. That's an important lesson for you. And he's a doer, not just a talker. He can learn to talk, but a talker may not ever learn how to do. The reason they talk is to keep from doing. The reason we do lip service to our spouses, to our families, is because we don't want to have to change and grow up. And then comes that horse that you put a lot of wet saddle pads on. You'll never have a good pony unless you put some saddle pads on him that really get soaked with good solid work, works the poison out of his soul. And when he wants to quit, he learns how to buckle up and just start to stay low and stay humble and listen and endure, because he's got a day's work to do. And you'll never turn colts into solid broke horses without some hours. And you'll never turn boys into men without sweat, friends. In service. In service. Not just working a paycheck. I'm talking about serving people that aren't nice to serve. Serving them more than you want to serve them. Serving them longer than you want to serve them. Serving. Serve them till you're tired and you wish you hadn't been signed up. But you know what? Good day's work. Good day's work. We've got a lot done. We're satisfied. Colt needs to know he's satisfied. He just sits there because he knows he's done the right thing. When a horse makes excuses, stiff ribs, stiff shoulders. When I run a horse down for a sliding stop and he's doing 20, 30 mile an hour and I'm running him full out, that stinking air horse in my guy. He's half air. I didn't pick him, I got him donated, that's how I get all my stuff. He's got that strange thing, Jim, so to stick his nostrils in the air and scoop up all the wind on his nostrils and stick that head up and run off. You stinking Arab idiot. Now, he's learning, he's growing up, he's 5, he's going 6, and I gotta pick him up in the belly so that horse runs with all his heart and keeps his head down. Now, there's 2 problems with the rundown horse. Either they run off, or they know you're gonna stop them at 30 mile an hour, so they're always hedging their bets, and they wanna stop before you. Or they drop their shoulder and they come into the left of the lane. And you know, the problem with the riders, you want to always hold them from embarrassing you and making a mistake and let them run off or whatever. You better never hold them. No excuses, no blame, it's totally yours. And anytime you make a mistake, I'm going to pick you up, I'm going to correct you, and I'm going to work the target, I'm going to let you run right down until you own it all. No excuses. No excuses. You know how that sounds in our lives? I am a child of God. It's right that you should expect this of me. That's hard to say. Not now. It's church. Tomorrow. On the way home. On the way here. When you're conflicted with somebody you love, or they're conflicted with you. It's right that you should expect this of me. I am a child of God. That's what it means to humble yourself, friends. And guess what? You better memorize the line. It won't come up. It's kind of like when you're mad at your wife and she says, "Why do you love me?" You can't think of one reason at the moment. Unless you memorize a line or 2 ahead of time. I'm not kidding you, man. I'm a man. I understand that. And when he is at his angriest, stubborn part, and you can't remember one reason why you ever married the stupid jerk, you better memorize a line, why you believe in this man, why he's a great man, why he's going to keep on becoming the greatest man on the face of the earth. Because I'll promise you, you can't remember a thing at the moment. But that's when he needs to hear it the most, isn't he? Unworthy though he or she may be, that's when we need somebody. A man was with me the other day. I had lunch with him. An intimate deal there in a funeral lunch. And he's normally a happy, teasing guy, and he was just down as all get out. And he showed me the suicide note of his 30-year-old son listed on Facebook. And he was whipped. He didn't know what to do. The kid's on all the legal stuff. Marijuana. He's been on it for years. He thinks it's affected his brain. Of course, that doesn't do you any harm, folks. His brain's not there. But I don't know where that all came from. But anyhow. Of course, I'm not opinionated either. He said, "I don't know what to do." Because he just kicked him out of his home. He said, "You can't have the marijuana and stay in my home." That's just the way it's going to be. Kid left. I said, "Drive for 2 hours. Walk in and put your arms around the kid and tell him you love him to death. And remind him of how great a man he is. If he wants help, call a helpline and then come home." We're not here to fix people, friends, including people we live with. We are here to humble ourselves and love them and obey them. Billy Graham said it this, our great Billy Graham, who just got buried. He said, "It was the Holy Spirit's job to convict, God's job to judge, and my job to love." Pretty simple, but that's, Billy Graham would have made a good cowboy. He had it straight, and he had it singing, and he had it faithful. You see, everything in us wants to react. That's called pride. You can preach it. Woody can preach it better than I. Going out there and living it is hard. And no matter how much we preach it, no matter how much right it is, friends, it's still, we stumble at it. Why? Because that stinking thing rises right up in there. The best of my horses get lazy every day. Rigor mortis sets in just a little more every day. And so I have to stretch them. I have to push them. I have to help them become the great horse they are. And every day I got to keep pushing out of us. Everything in this world gets stiff or dies. And what they say ain't work, what doesn't hurt doesn't work anymore. You know, it will be that way. Get it through your head, friends. As long as you live on this earth, it'll work be that way. You have to learn to embrace humility. Why? The devil doesn't have a clue what to do with it. He's a specialist in pride, and anybody who humbles themselves and learns how to humble themselves will always be ready for God to use it, because God is looking for a broke horse. He always wants to pick the best horse out to do the dirtiest job. And a broke colt will drop his head, he'll close his mouth, he'll move his feet, he'll stay under difficult times, he'll endure, and he'll finish the job, and he will never once stiffen his ribs, he'll never drop his shoulder, he'll never draw back his hind foot, and he'll run out, all out! And then when you dally a colt onto him, or you pull a calf on him, instead of balking and blowing up on you and bucking and running away, or a colt biting and step on him, he'll only give even more. It's wonderful when you see it in a horse. It's wonderful when you see it in a person. We all love it. Just hate getting there. So does the horse. Now that's our calling, friends. The question is, will you humble yourself? Oh, not this. This is irrelevant. Good start. Kind of like buying the cattle at the auction. Good start. But it's when you're in a conflict, when you want to quit, when you want to blame somebody, when you want to make an excuse, when you say, I've had enough. Now we're talking. And that's Cowboy. Let's go. So what do I want out of it? Heads bowed, eyes closed. I'm going to give you a fresh challenge. In 3 days' time, not to get out of sundown, by sundown. 3 days' time. 3 days' time. That's by Wednesday night. Call somebody, talk to somebody, and tell them how you learn to humble yourself in a given situation. Oh, I was mad the other day, and I remembered that sermon, and I dropped my head and listened. Oh, I was so ticked, I was ready to quit, and I remembered that message, and I humbled myself and asked God for strength to not quit. Oh, I was so justified being angry with that spouse, but I humbled myself. Instead, I prayed for them, and I met a need of theirs. I was so afraid the other day, I instead dropped my work and I went to the Word of God and I prayed until God gave me faith again. I looked at that pornographic thing the other day and I brought it to the light and talked to Jesus right then, and I walked right smack away from it. And the next time I didn't even win that door anymore. I humbled myself. Now that's all good, friends. But unless you share with somebody in 3 days' time, you probably won't remember diddly squat about this. Because unless you start moving your feet, you won't be any different than you were last week. But the little step, the tiniest step, moves mountains. Will you take a step today? And will you share it by Wednesday? Father, the answer of their heart and their tongue is to you. May they come chattering and talking about the things and the blessing and favor we're going to experience by following you in this matter. In Jesus' name, amen.
much. I can send a bridge up in smoke. I can't count the people I've let down. Hearts I know, you ain't gotta dig too deep. You're gonna find dirt on me. Learning who you've been, ain't who you gotta be. It's gonna be an uphill climb. I want words, better life. Ain't no angel. Still got a few more dances with the devil. For I'm cleaning up my hat, little by little. I'm getting there. I can finally stand the man in the mirror I see. I ain't as good as I wanna get, but I'm better than I used to be. Lord, you pinned a lot of demons to the ground. I got a few old habits left. There's one or two I'll need you to help me kick. Standing in the rain so long, it's left me with a little rust. I put my faith in thee, someday you'll see there'll be a diamond under all that dust. 'Cause there ain't no angel. Still got a few more dances with the devil. Lord, you're cleaning up my hat, little by little. I'm getting there. I can finally stand the man in the mirror I see. I ain't as good as I wanna get, but I'm better than I used to be. Well, ain't no angel. Still got a few more dances with the devil. Lord, you're cleaning up my act, little by little. I can finally stand the man in the mirror I see. I ain't as good as I wanna get, better than I used to be. All right. Woody, do you want to say anything before we leave?
First of all, I want to thank Lew and his crew for coming. Wonderful, wonderful. And when you saw, I got so tickled because my boys both kind of jumped out of their seat because I've done that to them before. They weren't asleep.
They ain't never trust a preacher, are they?
But Lew's got a table set back up here with a bunch of stuff on it. Y'all stop by, talk to these people, and get to know them because we hope they come back through on a regular basis. They have been, and we want them to keep coming. Doing a wonderful thing in his ministry, and I think we each are chosen to go in our own way. And Lew's got a great deal and has for years, and we are tickled to have him part of our church family pretty much. He's one of those distant cousins out there in Oklahoma, like Clint is, but we let him come here pretty regular because we love him.
I'm scared to become properly related.
Anything else? Any questions, anything? Rip, do I need to say anything else? Jessica, do I need to tell anything else? That's my political correctness right there. All right, let's pray before we go. Dear Lord, I just pray that you take us out this door today to be more disciple-like as we go into our jobs, to our schools. This country and everybody around us is starving for something. And if we could just show them what Jesus Christ is doing in our life each and every day. Maybe they could face these worldly struggles in a different way and just hit them head on because they know that Jesus is with them. And it's not easy, but it sure makes us understand a lot better when we know God's making that path for us. Be with everybody as they travel home today. Be with Lew and them as they do their deal tonight and however long they're going to be here in their travels home. Be with them, bless them. In your name we pray. Amen.